This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Over 25 years helping leaders reducing errors and incidents. Here is your host of the Essential Leadership Cycle podcast, Rob Fisher.
Welcome to episode 5 of the Essential Leadership Cycle podcast. I'm your host and intentional leader, Rob Fisher, coming to you from the ArrowHP.com studios in the Fit Center for Excellence here in beautiful Concord, North Carolina. In the last episode, we described the third attribute of the Essential Leadership Cycle, clear roles and processes. I hope listeners immediately use some of the recommendations at the end of the podcast to start making changes in their intentional leadership. By now, you should have downloaded the eColors app and are using that information to manage your strengths and potential limiters in your day-to-day interactions at home, at work, and at play. In this episode, I'm going to discuss the next attribute of the Essential Leadership Cycle, trust. Once we're moving towards a better awareness of ourselves and our team, and we're working on creating and verifying a shared vision and values, we're generating and using clear roles and processes. Then we can start to generate trust. In the Essential Leadership Cycle, there's an acknowledgement that trust is developed, not demanded. When trust is developed through being self and team aware, having a real shared vision and value set, and having clear roles and processes, then it's a sustainable trust that is not dependent on how people feel day to day. People can fall back on the process that developed the trust instead of just believing that they wound up there. Did you know that of the 4 major personality types, 2 of them have no problem at all asking you to trust them? And they don't mind you asking them to trust you. They tend to think that trust can be requested or, in some organizations, demanded, and will tend to trust until that trust is broken. When the trust is broken, these personality types usually limit that breach of trust to that component of trust that was broken. In other words, you may have cheated me here or you didn't pick up the check, so next time maybe I won't go to eat with you, instead of they didn't pick up the check, so I'm not going to let them be in our finance department. On the other hand, the other 2 major personality types tend to not trust until it is earned and actually feel like you asking for their trust without earning it is enough for them not to trust you. Think about it. Which one are you? How about some of the people you know? How does this difference impact your life and your business? Of these last 2 personality types, one tends to lose all trust at the first sign that some trust is broken. With the other, it is very difficult to rebuild that trust or even any new trust in the future. I'm a pretty trusting person. I tend to trust first and basically think that people are good in general and usually have good intentions. I'll pause here and let that sink in. Let you think about what you think about that statement. My prediction is that fully half of you are sitting there right now thinking, what? In what world? Or I don't trust anybody. But the rest of you are actually shaking your heads as you listen and completely understanding that approach. It's really a case of self and team awareness to understand first that we can be a bit different in our approach to trust and how we see it. But second, that if we don't understand that there are different views of trust based on our personality tendencies, we may miss many opportunities to improve our companies and our lives. I sometimes lock my truck. I sometimes don't. It doesn't much matter to me. I don't usually leave much of value in it. So even if some nefarious soul wanted to break into it, they wouldn't get much. So to me, locking the truck was never a big deal. My wife, on the other hand, would always ask, "Did you lock your truck?" For years, I never really understood why she made such a big deal out of it. I mean, we always knew we were different. We had different personalities. But until we really got educated into what those personality tendencies are and how we can manage them, we mostly avoided the personality element. One day a few years ago, after we had learned more about our personality tendencies and how to manage them, We had a discussion about why she always asks me if the truck is locked. I mean, I thought, you don't trust me to lock the truck? Then I discovered, remember self and team awareness, that she felt safer when she knew my truck was locked. She felt safer when she could trust that I would lock my truck. As long as my behavior regarding locking the truck was a bit aloof, or I showed that I didn't really care whether it was or wasn't locked, then she wasn't convinced that she was safe as a result of my actions. Translated? She didn't trust that I was protecting her. Remember shared vision and values? I was actually a bit devastated that something that I thought was so simple and really kind of silly was so important to her. She explained that the reason she felt unsafe wasn't that someone might break into the truck and get out some of our stuff. It was that the truck has the garage door opener in it, and someone could use that to access our home. That's what made her feel unsafe. I didn't realize that. Remember self and team awareness? And also didn't realize that safety and security for my wife and family were the real issues. Remember shared vision and values? I immediately started using a different process for ensuring that she knew that the truck was locked, or the door was locked, or the garage door was closed, by verbalizing to her when I do it, and certainly no longer questioning her motives when she asked me. My role is to let her know that I'm doing the things necessary to make her feel safe. Her role is to continue to question whether the actions are done in case her fallible husband forgets. In essence, we have better overall trust that has developed through self and team awareness, shared vision and values, and clear roles and processes. Have you ever known an organization that has been surprised by a low trust score on an engagement survey or a safety culture survey? Think about it. If we had good self and team awareness, we worked on and verified that we have a good shared vision and value system, and we use those to create clear roles and processes, we would probably never be surprised by those outcomes. I routinely see different interpretations of what it means to trust and to be trusted in organizations. Specifically, these misinterpretations are between leaders and the rest of the workforce. And whether or not it is a represented business, that seems not to matter. When I talk to the leaders, they don't understand and sometimes don't even recognize that some of the way they say or do things, remember the importance of leadership knowledge, language, and behavior, was adversely impacting trust. Take the simple use of the term constant enforcement of life-saving rules. Management thought that was being done to save people's lives. They actually did. But the workforce heard the constant enforcement as an attempt to get rid of people that management didn't think were following rules. Once the leaders, through engagement, discovered this mismatch in the vision and values, they reframed the message to continually reinforce the importance of life-saving rules and methods. That changed the game for the way the workers and the leadership trusted each other. Don't forget, your version, definition, or perception of trust and how it's developed, maintained, lost, and regained may be very different than that of those around you in business and in life. It's worth the effort to intentionally engage with others to make sure that you understand their version of trust, to ensure that you have a good handle on a shared vision and value system. We hear a lot about talking the talk and walking the walk. For the attribute of trust to exist within the organization, everything hinges on whether the leader language and behaviors match. Leaders need to remember they will be watching and listening, and that's everyone. So what can you do today? First, have a talk with some others of different e-colors or personality types on their version and interpretation of trust. Ask them what it looks like to them, what it feels like to them, what it takes for them to develop trust in someone, something, or an organization, and what it takes for them to lose it. Whatever you do, do not put people on the spot and ask them, "Do you trust me?" First, you may not like the answer, but more importantly, different individuals with different personality tendencies do not like to be put on the spot. And you may not get the real answer anyway. Since we're trying to develop good self and team awareness and a good shared vision of values, starting with a question that drives about half the population to either not want to answer the question or to not want to answer it honestly is not a good start. Go out and have a values-based engagement with some of your workforce at all levels. Ask them a question like, what do we do as leaders to show you that we believe in our life-saving rules? Or what are we not doing as a leadership team to ensure that you're protected? Then shut up and listen. You will be amazed at some of the responses. You may also be shocked at how actionable the information you get is. Until next time, this has been your host, Rob Fisher. Thanks for listening, and remember, intentional leadership starts with you.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
This is no ordinary sub shop. This is Firehouse Subs.
Welcome to Firehouse.
Tired of overpriced lunches that underdeliver on flavor? Head to Firehouse Subs, where for a limited time you can get a $4.99 choice sub. Choose from a medium smoked turkey, Virginia honey ham, or roast beef. They're custom-made hot subs at a price ready-made to make you smile. Just $4.99, only at Firehouse Subs. Enjoy more subs, save more lives. Participating locations plus tax, limited time offer. Prices may vary for delivery.